We're live. I think we're live. 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 Hey, guys! It is Old Man G here, back again with a season preview, guys. Thanks so much for those who tuned in for the 2K reactions. So obviously get that out. But yes, this is. I know this is delayed. It's supposed to be at 8 o'clock, 8:30 ish. But I had to change it just because of various things. A 2K brief special and the review. But this is going to be a brief season player rating. But before we get into this, check it out. We're back. Okay, hopefully everyone liked that new intro. Let me know what you think about that intro. So I've been using it for a while. So just to introduce things. But yeah, it is Old Man G here. I am back again with a player season review rating. Shout out to Philly Live and United Fan Army in the comments. Really good to see you guys. It's gonna be a show, hopefully 20 minutes, maybe half an hour, something like that, where I basically just review pretty much all the Manchester United squad, give them ratings. Let me know in the comments if you agree. We're going to go do a good 20 minutes to half an hour, basically just going through the Manchester United squad and seeing how good his squad has actually been in the first place. But first and foremost, if you're new to the channel, remember to please like, share, and subscribe to Red Devil Studio. Follow us on Twitter United and smash the notification button for the latest Manchester United news. And Philly Live says that intro looks beast. Thank you so much, buddy. So we're going to be going on that. We're going to be pushing on with that going forward, you know. So like I said, let us know in the comments now. Just give me two seconds. Live for seasons. I'm just sharing this on Twitter, Twitch. Right. Cool. Okay. Let's just get into it. Let us get into it. Like, hopefully everyone's doing okay. By the way, Arsenal won. Arsenal FA Cup winners. Arsenal FA Cup winners. And they. I don't know how I feel about that, actually. It's weird. I know that there's going to be no AFTV and chill tonight. And I know that troops and a lot of the Arsenal fans are just going to be gassing. And I've got to avoid football Twitter for goodness knows how long. What's it? G, Armin, Sam, or is it? No, it's still on. It's still on. It's still on. It's 8 o'clock tomorrow. It's 8 o'clock tomorrow. Yeah, I generally don't know how I feel about Arsenal in the FA Cup. A part of me just thinks, okay, I just kind of give it to them because I was getting bantered a lot by by Chelsea fans when we lost that game, and so deep down I think I wanted Arsenal to win. However, I am now going to have to avoid football Twitter because of the nature of Arsenal fans, you know. So there you go. There you go. Anyway, guys, and this is live, but let's get straight into it. Not for my rambling. Let's get into the player ratings. Let's go for it. So, David De Gea. 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 David De Gea has had a poor season by his standards. It's as simple as that, really. I think he's had a poor season by his standards. I don't think that. I think that, you know, and fair play for Ollie sticking by him. Fair play for the board. Fair play for so much support that he's gotten from the fans. But for me, I think when you look at Romero and look at Henderson and we look at the lack of maybe respect would be the term, you know, respect that they got. Personally, for me, he's had a poor season by his standards. He's had a poor season by his standards, and I'd say 6.5. I'm going to give a 5. Actually, I'm going to give a 5 because the fact of the matter is that if it wasn't for the circumstances and you didn't have Pogba coming back, if Bruno didn't come back into the team, if Greenwood didn't sort of turn up in bits. There were a lot of games where, because of De Gea, we dropped a lot of points this season. You know, we dropped a lot of points this season, and you know that goes on him. You know that goes on him, in my opinion. That goes on him. And so, you know, friends said, "Oh, damn! Oh, that's with the intro. That's with the intro." Yeah. So for me, David De Gea gets a 5. To be honest, season. I think his contribution could have been a lot better. But it is what it is. You know, it is what it is. Moving on, Romero. Now it's difficult to rate Romero given the fact that like he was basically like a second choice keeper. Like so he, you know, he only played in I think the Europa League currently, a League Cup up until the semi, and the FA Cup up until the semi. But to be honest, when he was being called upon, he's done okay. That goal against Norwich, that's the only fault. I don't think that he gets. I think he gets a lot more stick than he deserves. And I think if United are going to do this thing where they're going to recall Dean Henderson, I think Romero's right in thinking, you know what, I'm going to leave because if I'm not going to get any games, I'm going to be third choice. I'm going to move somewhere else. And fair play, because I think De Gea should have competition. And I think the Romero, as we've seen with Martinez at Arsenal, who's been on the bench for 10 years, who's not been trusted, given the opportunity, and Arsenal are better. And frankly, if you look at Arsenal, I can't see how Bert Leno despite the fact they paid a lot of money for Bert Leno, I don't see how Bert Leno can go back into his team. And that's the difference between United, Arsenal, and Chelsea right now. Arteta is not going to drop Martinez to bring Leno in. Kepa, despite costing 75 million, was dropped and Caballero came in. De Gea, you know, it is what it is. You know, we trust him, we keep him going, but at the end of the day, if he keeps making mistakes, you've got to make decisions. And he's been doing it for 2 years now. So for me, Romero, I would give Romero a 6, just because, not because I don't discredit what De Gea has done, but just because of the simple fact that when he's been called upon, he's done a good enough job for us. You know, it's really simple as that. And like I said, let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, guys. Whether you think that, you know, it's time for De Gea to kind of move on. I don't want to say move on, but you know, you know, essentially, I was saying that should Romero get a chance? Is it time that Romero? Because I assume Henderson is going to be going back on loan again. You know, but is it time that Romero gets a chance? You know, let me know in the thoughts. And Ema Barak, as someone says, Ema Barak, to those watching, yeah, Ema Barak to everyone, Ema Barak to everyone indeed. Thanks everyone for watching. Now, moving on, Victor Lindelof. I'm going to give Victor Lindelof a 7, actually. I'm going to give Victor Lindelof a 7 because I think that a lot of people really... The thing with the Lindelof and Maguire pairing, right, is that it's not that Lindelof is a bad defender. It's that it's the partnership. You know, when you had Smalling there, if you had a Koulibaly there, I think Lindelof is actually a good defender, and I think he certainly is his you know, his last-ditch tackles as well as his ability on the ball in terms of his passing the ball is good. I think it's very solid. But it's his pairing with Maguire, much like when Jones and Smalling were paired together. Like, it's not a good centre-back pairing. And it's the same thing with Maguire. They don't gel. But as an individual for this season, he's made a lot of very good last-minute tackles for us, man. And yes, he's been at fault once or twice for certain goals. But to be honest, I think especially against Leicester and a few of the games when we came back, he wasn't at fault. He wasn't at fault. Oh, there we go. Sorry, I'm talking and Lindelof isn't there. Sorry, guys. Like, let me know when the players disappear, please. But yeah, Lindelof for me. Lindelof gets a 7 for me. I generally think that Lindelof is out of the 4 in terms of being fit. I'd argue that Lindelof is our best all-round defender. But it's just that partnership with Jones. Sorry, with Maguire just isn't going to work. But so let me know what your thoughts are in the comments. 2 seconds. For tweeting this out. Tweeting this out, tweeting this out. Remember to like and share the vid, guys. Like and share the vid. Like and share the vid. Let's push on. Now we've got to 2K. Let's push on to 3K subscribers, man. Let's push on to 3K. Right, that's tweeted out. Now I can fully focus on the show. Okay, let's fully focus now. Right, next player. Why does it keep on doing that? Sorry. Eric Bay, and I'm fully focused now. Eric Bay, right? Okay, Eric Bay, for me, and I've said this several times to me, Eric Bay is our best centre-back when he's fit. I don't care what anyone says. Oh, Hala Madrid, hope you're good. Hope you're good, buddy, bro. Stay tuned for our podcast, our European podcast on Monday. We're going to be reviewing all the seasons, all the leagues. We're going to be reviewing, and so stay tuned for that on Monday, man. Stay tuned. And like everyone liked the vid, by the way. But yeah, Eric Bay is our best centre back when he's fit. He does make some mistakes. I agree with that. But for me, his confidence on the ball, and this is the thing, like, you should be allowed as a football player to make mistakes, okay, when you can recognize your ability. Eric Bay makes mistakes, yes, but he takes risks. And so and the thing with Bruno as well, like, good players take risks. What you find with the likes of like a Maguire and like a McTominay, for example, is that they don't take as much risks. And because of that, we don't play at times really well, you know, because it's easy to pass the ball sideways than it is to try and take on a man or go through a man, which is what Eric Bailly does. But it's difficult to assess him based on the sheer fact that that he's been injured for quite a bit of the season. And when he's been back, Ole hasn't trusted him. He got the head injury thing, but for me, he's still our best centre-back. So I'm going to judge him based on his appearances when he's come on. And his appearances when he's come on this season have been okay. I don't think I can judge him as high as Lindelof because he has not played the full season. So I'm going to probably put Bay as like a 6. Eric Bay is a 6. Just an average 6. He hasn't really stand up because he just hasn't been able to play. So now average 6 for me. That's my 2 cents. Axel Twansib is another one who maybe people forgotten who's in our squad. He is a player that's in our squad. He's there. He's there. Unfortunately for Axel, Hala Madrid says Bay was good at Villarreal. He was. And I think he's good at United, but he's just not been given the time and confidence, unfortunately. You know, this is the thing. But Twansib for me, Twansib, he's a good youth prospect, and when he played early in the season, like, you know, I think that Ole generally wanted Twansib and Maguire to pair themselves together, possibly even Twansib and Lindelof, possibly, you know. But I definitely know that Ole wanted Twansib to basically play alongside Maguire at least. But he's just injury prone. I think I would argue he's more injury prone than Eric Bay. Eric Bay is fit now, like he can play. You know, he had the head injury, but he's played. You know, he's very, but like, and let me say something about that, by the way, guys. It was Harry Maguire going into Eric Bay that caused that situation. Okay, that's what that situation was. Okay, not Eric Bay being reckless. But the thing is, guys, is that he's probably even more injury prone than Bay, and it's worrying when you're a young footballer, whereabouts between the ages of 18 to 24, when you get recurrent injuries. Because if you get recurrent injuries at that age, it's very difficult to come out of that and do well in your latter years. You look at Ronaldo, look at Messi. They don't tend to have a lot of long-term injuries out, but they're machines in that sense. Latan, same, you know. So Twansib, all I can really give Twansib, to be honest, is probably an average, I don't know, not even an average. Judging based on how he's played, I can't give him higher than De Gea. So 3, I guess, 3, and that's not because he's just not been fit. And it's just not done enough to be significance, really. Georgia B, thank you for coming in, says, accident, mysterious injury. I don't know what's going on, really. Him and Phil, well, this guy. Phil Jones. Philip Jones. Sir Jones, Sir Philip Jones, Jonesy. I don't really know what to. How do you describe Phil Jones? Actually, how do you describe Phil Jones? How do you describe him? How do you describe Phil Jones? He's been injured like most of our centre backs for most of the season, and when he came on, the only time I remember Jones, I think he played in the League Cup, and then he played against Sheffield United away in that first half and was bad. And we conceded 2 goals, I think. And he was at fault for 2 of them. And I never saw him again. I don't really know what to say about Phil Jones, really. I struggle to see how he was able to sign a new 5-year deal. You know, he's being paid 100K a week to be in the medical table, and to basically essentially be a spy for the opposition team. Because when Phil Jones is playing in any outside team, I don't even care if we have Pogba and Bruno Matic on the field or any world-class, but even if Messi was playing for Manchester United, if Phil Jones is in that centre back, I'm still panicking. So for me, Phil Jones, 1. You know, at least Axel, when he came on, in terms of games he did something. But Phil Jones, Alan Madrid says, when is Jones' testimonial match? Well, I don't know when he leaves the club, but right now the club gave him a 5-year deal, I think maybe 2 years ago. So he must have at least 2 or 3 years left on his contract. And we've got the way what our centre backs are. We're not going to be getting rid of anytime soon. Hilarious. Well, isn't that the way to construct? It has to be a 10 for Jones. If you mean -10, then yes. G, thoughts on Gabriel? I might do a video about it soon. I haven't looked into it because the sources that I've seen have been a bit sketchy, but I was doing a Manchester United news now for that at some point. Let's move on quickly. Harry Maguire, 6.5, I think. I just think it was a mistake to give him the captaincy, if I'm honest. I think it was a really, really bad mistake. I don't think that's because Harry Maguire is a bad defender, but the pressure being an £80 million defender, as well as the fact that you know, I don't know, like he's good in the air, you know, and I agree, he is very good in the air. However, I don't think his leadership in that box is great. Is my number 1 issue. And a couple of times, you know, when we really need to see out games, and we see out games from the back. Against Southampton, for example, there's the one that obviously strikes out, but there are a few other instances as well. Even the Sheffield United game, I think we came back to win 3-2. Youth came on, boom, we got the third. We didn't see the game out. There are many games that season where we needed to see the game out and we didn't. And that comes from the captain. He obviously doesn't have a lot of pace. He made a few mistakes in that respect. And like I said, playing him and Lindelof and work, he's good in the air. And we have been better defending set pieces because of that, or relatively better. But I just think that long-term, the Maguire-Lindelof partnership isn't going to work, and something has to give. And for me personally, I think you give the captaincy to like Bruno, for example. When he speaks English, when he's able to communicate, I think for me, you give Bruno the captaincy because I feel like where he is in that park and how he can do, I think he'll exhibit the leadership qualities a lot better than Maguire. And George makes a good point. Says 2 few goals from Harry. Exactly. you know, for me, one of the reasons why Harry Maguire was brought was his aerial threat, and while defensively he's been good in that respect, we haven't really utilized that when we've had our set pieces. Now, I admit some of that comes to the fact that our set piece takers are not great. Really, they're not great at all. But since Bruno came in, I think our set pieces have been better. So I think Bruno takes free kicks. He's our best set piece taker. Whether it's free kicks, corners, he's our best. You know, so it's good that we got him. But we need to obviously strengthen. Let's move on though. Brandon Williams. Brandon Williams is a tough one because when he came in for Luke Shaw, and up until probably the break due to obviously the virus, Brandon Williams was on fire. Brandon Williams was actually on fire, and I think that competition helped Luke Shaw to get Luke Shaw back into the team. But since the break, he was being exposed badly. You know, it was bad against Chelsea, against pretty much almost every team that I can think of since the restart, bar maybe Spurs, exposed Brandon Williams. And playing a right footer on the left causes problems. You know, causes a lot of problems. And so if you're going to play Brandon, I think he could probably be a decent right back, and we'll talk about the right back situation in a second. But for me, if you're gonna have Brandon Williams, you're gonna have him playing, then you should probably play him on the right, because if he's gonna go forward, he has to constantly come onto his right foot, you know, and take time. And I think maybe teams and players have noticed that and have started to hound him. Luke Shaw is better in that respect. So we'll see what happens. As for score, I mean, let me know what you think in the comments, guys, about how you'd rate some of these players. But for me, Brandon Williams, for me, I'm going to judge the whole season. So for me, I think I'll give Brandon Williams I'll give him an average 6. Because to be fair, when he came into the squad, and this is his first season, he's a youngster as well. So I don't want to be too critical of him. So I think an average 6, I think, is fine for Brandon Williams. And fingers crossed, he goes from strength to strength. Let's see in the Europa League. Maybe they'll give him a shout there. Georgia B says Bruno's English is much better than it is. It is. And hence why he should probably be in contention for getting the captaincy next season, in my opinion. That's my thoughts. Bro, you still need a left back. I recommend a regular. I don't completely disagree, but I just think that there are other areas that United need to strengthen. And I think the right wing area, the central defensive area, another midfielder, there are other areas in United that need to, and centre back, CDM, forward. There's so many other places on the field that we need to strengthen, really. At left back, Shaw is good enough. And we miss Shaw, to be honest. And Brandon Williams is a semi-decent backup, so we have that. But for other positions, we just don't have that depth. We just don't have that backup, So that's the big problem, unfortunately. But let's move on here. Fosu-Mensah. So again, not really been involved, really, to be honest. I think a bit in the Europa League, maybe once, possibly, and then obviously came on against, I think, was it West Ham he played against, or Palace? It was either West Ham or Palace where he played, and I think it was Palace actually, where basically Fosu-Mensah came in. For me, Fosu-Mensah is an enigma. He's an enigma because he's obviously right back. Now, Solskjaer doesn't seem to sort of trust Dalot. So is Fosu-Mensah basically the right back? Or do you play Brandon Williams there because he's right-footed? I think defensively, Fosu-Mensah is very solid. And I think certainly against Palace, when he played against, he kept them quiet. But I also think Fosu-Mensah could possibly play as CDM. I genuinely think that Fosu-Mensah could play, as CDM. And if Fosu-Mensah plays as CDM, do we necessarily need to invest in that area? I don't know. I just think that what I would like to see from this Europa League when we start next week is Ollie experimenting a bit. You know, saying, right, you know what? Let's try Brandon Williams at right back. You know what? Let's try Tuanzebe as a centre back if he's fit. You know what? Let's try Foster-Mensah at CDM. See what happens. You know, see if that's okay. You know, so because for me, if we're not going to get a Matic can't play CDM for you know, all season, and McTominay I don't think has the defensive discipline to do that role either. So for me, you know, Foster-Mensah is a good shout. But just based on the season for what he's done, I would say I have to give Foster-Mensah. I mean, you can't give him higher than Axel, to be honest. So, you know, I'll probably say the same. 3. You know, let's upgrade Axel to 3.5, so 3, because he hasn't really contributed that much, you know. So, but there's potential. Now let's move on. I've got so many. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, I can't remember what order I put these in, but Aaron Wan-Bissaka, my G, Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Yes, after probably the Spurs game, he filtered out, but to be honest, he's arguably our player of the season. Mr. Consistent up until a few games before the end of the season, where he looks absolutely exhausted and knackered and tired. For me, you know, I would give Wan-Bissaka from all season. I give Wan-Bissaka an 8. I'm going to give him an 8. I'm happy to give him an 8. And let me know all your thoughts on the comments, guys, whether you think Wan-Bissaka was an 8 or not. But I'm happy to give Wan-Bissaka an 8 because, quite frankly, he's come clutch for us. There's so many different. Just think where United would be if Ash Young was still playing a right back and being dominated. Yes, I'd argue that Ash Young is better going forward, definitely. There are a lot of players better going forward, and he needs to work on that a lot. And hopefully he will with better coaching. But the way that I see it, guys, if it wasn't for Aaron Bissaka, you know, we'd be in a big predicament right now. We'd be in a massive, massive predicament right now. And all I can say for Wan-Bissaka is he's still a young player. It's still his first season. And he's done what he's done. He's done what he's done. So fair play to Wan-Bissaka. Solid 8 for me. Certainly one of our best players of the season. You know, and we move on. Hopefully he improves going forward next season. And hopefully that tiredness will be resolved come the beginning of the season, because he did look a bit leggy and defensively out of sorts in the last few games of the season. Dalot. Dalot, 3 again. Has he been around really? What's he done? Has he done much? You know, where's he been? I don't know. You know, he's not been around. He's not done anything. You know, what do you say to that? I don't know. I don't know for Dalot. Ollie clearly doesn't seem to rate him. Probably doesn't seem to want him to be around. So for me, 3. It's such a shame, because I think with Mourinho and even in the first season of PSG, there was potential there. And I still think that Dalot, especially when you come on, is much better going forward than Wan-Bissaka. You know, like his balls into the box are better than Bissaka. I mean, dare I say it? I mean, you look at you look at Dalot, you look at Foster-Mensah, even Brandon Williams. All those 3 players, I'm sorry, but in terms of going forward and ability, like, they are better than Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka did had a few obviously assists, but I think just in general, and I think that I don't know. Wan-Bissaka will be our first choice, but I think Ollie would be foolish to let some of these players go, given that we're missing that attacking element. And I think that if we really want to go at teams, we're going to have to bring on one of these players. So for me, Dalot, I still remember the penalty that he won us, and that's because he's in the box. You know, so what has Dalot done? Not much, but for me, you got to give Dalot at least a three. 4 if you're being generous. 4 if being generous. Luke Shaw again. I'm going to be controversial. I'm giving Luke Shaw an 8 as well. For different reasons to Wan-Bissaka. I think that overall Luke Shaw's had a better season than Wan-Bissaka, but Wan-Bissaka has just come to the club. Sorry. Sorry, need that water. Wan-Bissaka has just come to the club, Luke Shaw has been in the club for a while, so that's part of the reason. But for me, the big reason is Luke Shaw. You know, we've seen, especially when he's been injured, how much we miss Luke Shaw, how much we miss. He is our most balanced fullback, a fullback that can defend relatively well, but can also go forward and score chances. And you can see the fact that Marcus Rashford really missed him. You know, the lack of Luke Shaw really hurt us in that semi-final against Chelsea, really hurt us in the last couple of games. And when we got over the line, but fingers crossed, Luke Shaw will be back for September. He's had massive injury issues. He went over his ankle and just like, oh man. And these are the things, you know. So fingers crossed, like I said, that he'll get back, he'll be fit. But, you know, do we need to go and get a left back in the summer, as Hala Madrid said? Possibly, you know, said I got Raglan. Maybe we do, because is Brandon Williams ready? Is he good enough? We'll see. Only time will tell. You know, the coaching, whether Ollie could improve these players. I'd argue there are only a few players that you could argue improved, but we'll see. But for me, Luke Shaw gets a solid 8. Hala Madrid says in the 90s, Wan-Bissaka will be the best RB, but now fullbacks in. So exactly. Exactly. And the only thing I'd say is that it's his first season. And like I said, to be honest, anything was better than Ashley Young. I've noticed a difference. And the tackling and ability really helped us down that side, to not concede chances down that side, you know. So it is what it is. George says left back is low priority. Like I said, it is. It's a low priority right now compared to other positions. And IMAX Football says, keep it up, bro. Thanks, buddy. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Please get in your questions and also let me know your thoughts on your ratings. We did our 2K special at about 8 o'clock. It wasn't that long, but please check the video out on the channel. It should be there. Just thank you guys so much for your ongoing support for Red Devil Studio. Really appreciate it. I welcome the feedback as well. What you guys want, what you guys want to improve, what you guys want more of. Let me know. I do it because of you guys and because people watch. And as long as people are still watching, no matter how many or few, I'll keep on doing this stuff. I'll keep on doing it. So let's move on. G needs something off the film before the H. Yeah. Go and check out his channel. He's doing a lot of good stuff there. And yeah, I'm going to be heading over to HH. Just hang on a second to laugh at the Chelsea fans right now. But I need to finish this off. McTominay, Scott McTominay. Scott McTominay. 6.5, I think. 6.5. I give 6.5 to Scott McTominay. I think he's had an okay season, not a brilliant season. And I also think that obviously now with Matic, Pogba, and Bruno in the team, he's obviously out. I think that McTominay and Fred are similar in that they need a run of games to become good. McTominay, I think, is I don't know if Ollie's trying to make him adapt to the Matic role, but he's going forward a lot. I don't think he has the discipline yet to do that role yet. So for me, he's had an okay season. Like obviously, I remember that goal he scored against City, and you know, celebrating like crazy, and it was great. But there's also the fact of what happened against Newcastle, you know. So okay season, solid player, good squad player to have on the team, and I just don't know what the future is in the sense because is he going to be a CDM? You know, where does he play in this team? Because you can't play Fred and McTominay as CDMs, in my opinion. You can't play Fred and McTominay as cams. So really, the only position is the position where Pogba's playing right now. And so, do you drop Pogba? Do you bring in Fred and McTominay in those positions? You know, possibly. You know, so there you go. Oh, Nemanja Matic, man, 7. Nemanja Matic, 7. Nemanja Matic was out of the squad for quite some time, but let's be real here. One reason why we're in top 4 is because of this guy. It's because of him rediscovering his pre-Chelsea form. Had he not, not had that pre-Chelsea form, I just don't think that we, I don't think we get top 4. I just don't think that we get top 4, at all. And it's because of him. It's because of Nemanja Matic. It's because of Nemanja Matic discovering his form. Yes, he's still a bit slow. Yes, at times he passes sideways. But especially as soon as we came back from lockdown, he turned into prime Matic again. It was probably still a mistake to give him another 2-3 years, I think, on his contract. We need a pacier CDM like an Ndidi. And you could see what Ndidi did again if you watch the Leicester City game. But yeah, for me, solid 7 for Nemanja Matic. His performance and him being in the squad really helped to stabilize our midfield. And you can generally see when Matic is not playing, we really struggle. We really struggle. Paul Pogba, poor Pogba, poor Pogba, poor Pogba, poor Pogba. What's this art at 9? Want to become famous? Buy followers, primes and views on big. Yeah, I'm not interested. I don't know what that spam is. Anyway, poor libel Pogba has been brilliant. But obviously in the last few games, he's been a bit off the paces. But clearly he needs the quality around him. He's obviously been injured quite a bit this season. And frankly, it was not for, circumstances, he probably wouldn't have played for the rest of the season. But he was able to come back. Do I give him a 7 as well? Yeah, I'm going to give him a 7 as well for different reasons to Matic. I do think that, I guess you could argue that Fred being in could replace Pogba in that sense, but I just think that Pogba just gives you something different. He just gives you something different that we miss from this side. And at the end of the day, when you've got not Pogba on the field, again, you notice what's going on. And especially when he came on against Spurs, it was just, geez, what was happening. What was going to happen. So yeah, for me, poor Pogba, solid 7 for us. Right, there's a lot of players to go. I'm going to literally speak. I can't give an explanation for everybody. So for the bit part players, I'm just going to say score and then move on. But Bruno Fernandes is not a bit part player. Bruno Fernandes to me gets an 8.5, man. Bruno Fernandes, him coming into the squad really changed everything. It really did. So I'm just looking at the battery. And if it was not for Bruno Fernandes, we would have been in trouble. We would have been in massive trouble this season. And he's the reason why we are where we are. So Bruno Fernandes to me, massive player. And thank goodness we did this on. Yes, he came in January, but still he was very important for us to get where we want. The fact that he's got practically a goal in a season, almost every game he's played bar one, I think. And when he's not, he's been instrumental. Even when he has a bad game, he still contributes in some capacity. A moment of magic. That's what top class players do. Even if they're playing badly, they still contribute in some capacity. And as Georgia B said, and I'll get us coming up in a second, Bruno saved Ollie's job 9.5. It's as simple as that, really. I'm only giving 8.5 because I don't give 10. I'm reserving a 9 to one particular player who not that Bruno doesn't deserve it, but I think that this player just deserves it just a bit more. But yeah, Bruno is, as Georgia B just said, Bruno essentially saved Ollie's job. He did. Get in third place. You don't sack a manager who gets third place. And if we win the Europa League, well, there you go. There you go. Fred, yeah, is the comment here. I don't know why it's the delay. I don't get it in the delay in StreamYard. Bruno saved Ollie's job exactly. Fred for me. Fred for me gets a 7. I think that Fred, and it's a 7 for different reasons. You know, yes, I know I gave Pogba and Matic a 7, but the thing with Fred is that Fred played so well up until lockdown. He played so well, in in the lockdown, and we needed him. He was just everywhere. He was almost player of the season. How could he's had a good season, but the Matic problem has kept him out. And when he's come on, because he needs games to get into the run of form, he was benched. And so when he's come into the side, he's not been great. So for me, like with McTominay, like with a few other players, give these guys some Europa League game time to get their confidence back, to get their fitness back, and so they're part of the squad, so they can come in. Because I want Fred to, I want Fred to come in for Pogba. I think that Fred can play that Pogba role, especially with the communication with Bruno Fernandes, and McTominay can come in for. That's the ideal. Fred to come in for Pogba, McTominay to come in for Matic. Make those roles fit for them and see. But right now it's just not working. Right now, unfortunately, Martial, yeah, possibly. Ollie was on the ropes after. Yeah, he was. After that Burnley result, he could have been sacked in December. But then obviously he went on to beat City, Spurs, and then suddenly we're like, oh wow, okay. So Tahith Chong, another youth player, 4, because he has played a bit more. Not the best first season. I think that Tahith needs to go on loan. I think there is a player there. I think there generally is a player there who can do well, can do bits. But I just think that he needs a loan spell. He needs a loan spell, and he needs regular games to grow in. Much like Fred and other players, he needs to play regular football. He needs to play regular football. When he plays regular football, I think that there's a player there. So get him on loan, get him out on loan, get him some game time, maybe a championship club or possibly in a Bundesliga club, and get him some game time. But 4 for Tahith. 50 million down the drain. They said he was lazy. They said he was useless. They said he didn't know what he was doing. They said he was banter. They said he was a waste of money. Anthony Martial, sorry, there's a screen. My TV is messing up. Anthony Martial has been brilliant this season. He's been brilliant this season. He's been absolutely brilliant this season, and I think that Yaron says Chong is not ready. No, yes, he's not. That's why he needs a loan. But Martial's been brilliant. He's been brilliant. Lacazette and him cost the same amount of money, and we got the better deal. And I think what people don't appreciate about Martial, and that's why I give him a 9, is that he plays the number 9 role well. He's been deprived of service with likes of Lingard and Pereira being up top. And the fact of the matter is that Anthony Martial, he just, what can you say about Anthony Martial, man? What can you say about Anthony Martial? 20 goals, 22 goals, I think now in all competitions, probably more. When we still got the Europa League, he's just a G. He's just a Don. He's just a G. This is what I'm saying. I mean, Martial, man. I think that at the end of the day, the stick that this guy gets from the media and the press for being lazy, for being poor, that so many other players don't get. I think for me this season, and this has been his best season in the Manchester United shirt. Not just because of the goals he scored and assists, but his link-up play has been great. His occupying of defenders, there's more to his game. I mean, Firmino has scored less goals. So people rave about Firmino because of what he does off the ball. But people don't seem to see what Martial does off the ball. And that's what we need to realize as fans. It's not just about goals and assists. It's also about what you're doing. And one reason why that probably works is because of what Martial does off the ball. He needs to get the respect that he deserves. He gets a 9. He gets a 9 for me. He gets a 9 for me. Someone who's not getting a 9 is Pereira. Pereira, 4. He's not. He's old enough now that he's not getting a loan. He's not doesn't need a loan really. I'm sorry. He's been there for long. He's been there for a long time. He's been on loan to Valencia. He's gone to places like, and he's still not come good. He's not in the team. He's not really on the bench. What do you do with Pereira really? The only thing I see with him now really is you sell him. You sell him. You sell him. Bruno was great, but for me, it's Tony Martial. Like I said, I agree earlier. All season, I agree. And he was out injured for 2 months. People forget that. He would have scored more goals. But yeah, Andres Pereira, I don't know what you do with him. For me, it's up to the point now that I think you might have to sell the guy if people will buy him. Bearing in mind, obviously, the circumstances. But for me, you got to sell him because we've got other options now. You know, you don't play Pereira at right wing, especially if we get Sancho because we've got Greenwood and the interchangeability. You don't play him in midfield and Cam because Pogba can play in the Bruno situation. You know, you've got Frey, you've got others. You know, so there's not really a place to fit Pereira in this team right now. That's why he gets a 4 for me. Georgia B says Andres not good enough for United. Andres 0 dead player. I mean, you know, he's contributed a bit. You know, United says sell this guy. You know, but yeah, you know, Martial and United says Martial is class. Dan James. I'm going to give Dan James a 6 because again, I think this has been his first season. He's also a young player. He also came for the championships. There's reasons, and for the beginning, for a few games I've seen, I think he looked quite good. But this is for me is the. I actually don't think that Daniel James is a bad player. I actually think Daniel James, contrary to what a lot of people say, I think Daniel James is a very good player. The problem with Daniel James is that like he's not being coached. He's not being coached. He's not being coached well. Anyway, if Daniel James was being played by Pep Guardiola or even Klopp, I think he'd be a much better player than he is now. You know, right now Daniel James is just go on the field and run into space and do something. You know, he's not being coached in terms of when to do things. You know, and this is where I think coaching comes in. Same with Rashford as well. You know, Rashford and Daniel James are two players that I see them like they've got potential still, but they need to be coached. Ooh, my battery is a bit low. I might have to. What's it? Oh, 6%. Okay, 2 seconds, guys. 2 seconds. 2 seconds. I'll be literally right back. Sorry about that, guys. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. I'm back. Apologies about that, guys. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Sorry about that. But I'm back anyway. But yeah, sorry. My Red Devil Studio Ghost. Sorry, guys. Let me just quickly read some records. Martial is class. He has no football intelligence, bro. James started well by giving him a 6. Like I said, I agree. Daniel James is alone. I mean, we really should have bought him then, to be honest. He was at Swansea, really. I don't know what the thingy was for him, but yeah. No football sensor said. I said James is only fast like a bolt. Joel Abraham, James is a super sub, nothing more, nothing less. It's like it's what I'm saying. It's like, but we bought him from I think Swansea for 15 million, and the thing about him is that it's about coaching. You know, I remember when he played against City, when he saw him, and he was actually quite good. It was like a City fan channel. When I went ghost. Oh man, you know, so like, name me a big City fan channel, man. I mean, you know, it just is. This channel is bigger than City's biggest channel. Let's be real here. He should have stayed at Swansea for another. What I wish would have been a good idea is if we loaned him back. But the reality is that our squad depth at the beginning of the season was terrible. You know, if Daniel James was going to play at right wing, then who was it going to be? Lingard, Pereira. You know, he was essentially we didn't buy a right winger. We needed a right winger. And so we bought a left winger, because let's be real, Daniel James' natural position is the left wing. So to be fair to Daniel James, he's been playing in the wrong position mostly all season. We didn't actually have an actual right winger. And he's not been coached, in my opinion. Because if you play him on the left wing in his natural position, you coach him to say, listen, mate, this is when you go. Because football intelligence is not something that's innate. Just like when you're taught something, it's something that you can be taught. So like when Van Gaal was coaching Martial, being like, mate, stay in the box, Rashford, stay in the box, Martial, you'll get opportunities. That's coaching. So someone needs to tell Rashford, someone needs to tell Daniel James, listen, mate, take your time, take a touch, do this. And unfortunately, these two players in particular, I highlight Daniel James and Rashford in this sense quite a bit, is that they just aren't, they aren't being coached as well as they should. You know, that's my first sense. But for me, Daniel James a 6. Daniel James a 6. Just reading some of your comments. He should have, yeah, okay with that. Ed saw him as a cheap alternative to Sancho. I hope not, because we need to be getting Sancho this transfer window. We need to be getting Sancho. We need to get Sancho. We need to get Sancho. If we don't get Sancho, then I just don't. We need a right winger. We need an actual right winger. Greenwood is not a right winger. Although he can play there and can play there quite well, but for me, Greenwood is like okay, you know, you move him around, you know, but he's not a right winger, you know, for me, he's not. I don't know if a City fan. G, please react to this kid Chelsea fan. He's too funny. What kid Chelsea? You mean is it Angry Ratman or something? Let me know who this is. DJ did a good job getting fouled a lot. And to be fair, that did help us a few times. It did. No, man, Rash has been coached well. I think Martial has been coached well. Rashford, I'm not sure. I still think that he lacks a lot of composure. That's a big problem for me. I think he lacks quite a bit of composure, in my opinion, Marcus Rashford. But it is what it is. Let's quickly move on because I'm running out of time here, and I've got to go on another podcast in a second. Mason Greenwood. Mason Greenwood, I'm going to give an 8. This has basically been his breakthrough season. He scored the same amount of goals, I think, as George Best and Rooney did in their first season at United. And CFC Fan Zone, okay, yeah, I'll check it out. But, you know, Martial is Ollie's best coaching. George Martial, yes, I agree. Ollie has coached, and I would argue Greenwood as well. I think Martial and Greenwood are for me the only two examples of Ollie's coaching. You know, because Greenwood is an academy player, so the way he's playing comes from the United Academy. What he's doing, everything that comes from the academy system. You know, so for me, it says Bant FC beat Chelsea. Well, you know, sucks to be a Chelsea fan right now. But for me, Greenwood gets an 8. I think he has come clutch so many times. Robin van Star, Greenwood 8. Greenwood for me, he gets an 8 definitely. He definitely gets an 8. This is a breakthrough season. He's still young and he's still only 18. He's bulked up a bit as well, which I think has helped. But the power in his feet, in his shots, but also just some of the times he scored his goals. I remember when he scored the equaliser against Sheffield United, when he scored the goal against Everton, so we got that point. When he scored the goal against West Ham, just think about this for a second. The goal against Everton, the goal against West Ham, where basically those two teams could have just sat back and dropped. We lose those 2 points, we're not in top 4. Simple. We're not in top 4. We're not in top 4. He scored some clutch goals for us this season, Greenwood, and you know, and that's the reality. You know, that is the reality. So fair play to Mason Greenwood, 8 from me. Marcus Rashford, 7.5. And I'll be quick here, 7.5 for Marcus Rashford. And that's not because I think Marcus Rashford has had a bad season. It's just that I think that other players have had better seasons. And I think that I'm still seeing with Rashford. I mean, he's got us out. He's been playing in some really good games. But when Martial was injured, you could tell the difference. He's not a number 9. And Ollie, I think, now knows that. Instead of playing him as number 9. But I also think with Marcus Rashford is that I'm still seeing the lack of composure. I'm still seeing a player that needs to take his time and needs better football intelligence. This is when you pass, this is when you shoot, etc. Sometimes lay it off and so on, you know, and that for me is the thing. United says Ronaldo 7, and United man says 10. Rashford, I know you would. Ronaldo for the GOAT. I wouldn't say he's the GOAT. That gets thrown around too much, but let's move on because I'm running out of time. Mata 4. I think with Mata, when he's come on, I think the thing with Mata is that he is a creative player. And then with Bruno, you can see when Mata's played on the right with Bruno, you can see the creativeness between them. But Mata just doesn't have the fitness anymore. He just doesn't have the fitness anymore. Mike W. He just doesn't have it. Yeah, I think he's just going to be phased out, really. You know, maybe get some Europa League football, who knows? But 4 for me. I think his time in the club is probably running out. Been a good servant. I love Mata, but we've just got better players now, in my opinion. Marcus still needs to make better. Exactly, and he needs to start making better decisions. Igalo, I'll give a 7. Again, you know, partly because no one expected anything from Igalo, and also because with Igalo, you know, because no one expected anything, when he's come on and the games he's been a part of, he's contributed. He's contributed a lot. I don't get this sort of that, oh, he's not a... Igalo is an actual number 9. I'd even argue more of a number 9 than Martial, because Igalo, he gets in defenders' faces. It's not just about dribbling past players. He bullies defenders. He gets past them. He holds the ball up well and brings other teams into play. So for me, Igalo deserves better. And for me, I think that, fingers crossed, he gets a lot more game time in the Europa League the next season, because we need this type of option. You know, it's not just good enough to rely on a Martial. Sometimes you need to just lob the ball up, stop passing from the back, stop working it through, just lob the ball up to an Igalo to bully and to cause problems. And that's what we need. So I'll give Igalo a solid 7 in my opinion. We're almost done. Oh, I think we're done now. We're done. That's everybody. We are done. We are done. We're done. We're done. Because it's back to the hair now. But we are done. I think that it literally must. Let me know in the comments, guys, if there's anyone that I missed out. I can't think of anyone else that I missed out. I can't think of any player that I missed out. If there's any player that I missed out on ratings, then let me know. But I think that's everybody. So, guys, it's been an hour. It's been a long stream. I went for the whole Manchester United squad, giving players. Let me know what you think about this, guys. Remember to like Lingard. Oh, I swear I had a picture of Lingard in the chat. I swear I had a picture of Lingard in the thing. Jesse, I had a picture and I must have forgot to add it. Jesse Lingard, J Lings, Lingardinho, Gomez. I don't really want to count Gomez because he's left the club essentially, and he didn't really play at all. So he's not a United player anymore. So that's why I didn't include Gomez really. But Lingard, I generally forgot because he's still at the club. And Lingardinho, let's give him a 5, shall we? I know he's not played at all, but I must confess I am happy for Lingard. I am happy for Lingard getting that second G to basically kill off Leicester. Not only did Johnny Evans get a red card, but for Lingard to score that second goal to basically secure Champions League football for Manchester United was something else, you know. So let's give 5 for Lingard, you know. So 10. No, I'm not going to give him 10. United fan, I'm not going to give him 10. You know, I'm not going to give him 10 at all. He's had some personal issues, and I think that, and I get that. And we'll just see what happens. But for me, I don't know what I think. Lingard, for me, I think that the thing is that if we sign Jadon Sancho, then suddenly, you know, players like Lingard, Pereira, and Mata, you know, there's no space for them anymore. You know, there is no space for them at all in this team because you've got the front three with Sancho, Martial, Rashford. Then you could possibly bring in Greenwood into the 4. Igalo for a different depth up until January anyway. Daniel James is still there, so that's 6. So where does Lingard fit? You know, does Lingard come into the midfield? You know, it's Mata. You know, so some of these players aren't going to get any game time really, and we need different clubs, and you know, it just is what it is. As for Ollie, and I think Leon says Ollie, I give an 8, and I would agree. You know, I'll give him a 7 because frankly, if we didn't sign Bruno Fernandes in January, and I know Underwood was responsible for that, we wouldn't have been in top 4. Let's be real, because we were very, very inconsistent going into January. And although that said, I think the Form 1 was so good, you could argue that before lockdown, had we gone lockdown, we probably would have battered Spurs, frankly. Lingard is off to Arsenal as Ozil replacement. I'll see it to believe it. I will see it to believe it. But yeah, man. You know, it's funny. It's weird. I feel like if we'd actually played on from the COVID break, I think we probably would have easily smashed Spurs and probably secured top 4 as well. So whoever you say, Ollie, he got 3rd. He's got the opportunity again to get a trophy, and hopefully he gets it in his first season. And we push on, and we will see what happens. But yeah, guys, thanks everyone for watching, for getting involved. I am knackered. It's been an hour, and I'm so tired. George realizes his audience to high tactical guys. Number 2, he does. He needs some support in that area. I agree. But thanks so much, guys. Remember to use the channel to like, subscribe to Red Dot Studio, for United X, and smash that notification button for latest Manchester United news. Have a nice day, guys, and cheers, everyone.